In today's video, we are reviewing the brand new Zhiyun Crane 3S gimbal and discussing if this is the right gimbal for you. We'll quickly go over the main features and I'll of course also show you the test footage and share my fully transparent user experience. Now, for the impatient ones, a quick insight. Well, I've got good news and bad news for you. The good news is that when it works, it produces amazing smooth footage. It worked flawlessly with my Canon R, but when I mounted my Canon C200, which is heavier, it was not 100% reliable. Especially in the underslung mode, it had a lot of issues with vibrations. They were annoying, but I did manage to work around them to get smooth footage, and we'll talk about how and why this is happening later. Now, the reason why I've invested into this gimbal specifically is because I was searching for a smaller travel solution that is strong enough to fly my Canon C200. And before we start talking about the features and advantages of this gimbal, I want to show you some of the test footage. This short sequence you're about to watch was shot with Canon C200 and Canon 24-70 lens mounted on a Crane S3 gimbal. The footage was filmed in 25 frames per second because I want you to see how the gimbal actually works without any slow motion cheating. So the footage is in real speed, no warp stabilizer effect added or any stabilization, no lens IS on or anything. All I did is to cut the sequence together and quickly color grade it. So yeah, let's roll the sequence. Well, I think this was smooth, right? Only the opening intro panning shot has micro shakes, but in general, I am satisfied with the footage I've got when the gimbal worked. So let's address the elephant in the room now. Sadly, half of the filming session with the Canon C200, the gimbal vibrated. The solution was to keep changing the motor strength, but you never know what motor strength to choose because sometimes the selection that worked in a previous scenario doesn't work now. And sometimes no matter what motor strength I chose, the gimbal still vibrated. Quick disclaimer, yes, I am an experienced gimbal and glide cam operator. The camera was perfectly balanced on all of 3 axes and I also calibrated the gimbal. As you can see from the behind the scenes footage, I also did my best to walk and run smoothly, meaning the issue really is in the current gimbal firmware. They are advertising 6.5 kilograms payload and my C200 setup weighs at around 3.5 kilos, so I wasn't pushing it. To be honest, I have a love-hate relationship at the moment with the Crane 3S because if there were no vibrations, it would have been the best gimbal I've used so far for my needs. And I am very optimistic that Zhiyun will fix these problems because I remember that other companies did 2 early product releases as well where the gimbal shaked, but the later updates solved the vibration problem. And I also want to mention that Zhiyun has a really good customer service. They responded to me very fast, so I trust that they care and that they will do their best to fix it with the new firmware. So Zhiyun, if you are watching this, please hurry up with the update. I've got projects coming up and I need this thing to work. I can't have the gimbal vibrating and dancing in front of my clients. I'm so frustrated because when we look in the paper, it seems that Zhiyun made as close to a perfect gimbal as it's humanly possible. So I really want it to work. And yeah, once the update comes, guys, I'll make sure to write in the description below to let you know if the vibration issues were resolved, so make sure to check that out. If they're not, I will be forced to return the gimbal. As mentioned, the underslung mode is the most problematic, so what I did on shoot to work around it is that I took a few shots while holding the gimbal for the tripod leg. The footage was buttery smooth. I only had to be careful not to get the part of the gimbal in the shot if I tilted the camera too much upwards. I also tested the gimbal with my sister. It was her first time ever holding a gimbal in her hands. She's not a filmmaker, so she's not familiar with compositions and so on. But I wanted to see how a complete beginner would handle the gimbal. And she managed to get some nice smooth shots straight away, and she said it was actually super easy to operate, which is great, good news. And with a lighter setup, with Canon R and 16-35 lens, the gimbal worked. There were no vibrations, you could transition into the underslung mode smoothly, so that's great. By the way, if any of you owns a Crane 3S right now, I would love to hear your user experience, so please do share it with us in the comments below. Okay, let's talk about features now. The main thing that convinced me to buy this gimbal are the 6.5 kilograms payload, I guess with the new update, and besides having these huge motors, another key feature that this gimbal has is the arm extender plate that's included in the package. Because of this, I don't have to worry about the viewfinder hitting the gimbal anymore, and it's super easy to go into the underslung mode. And on top of it, it also gives you a clear, unblocked view on the monitor. And I was surprised to find that even with the arm attached, the gimbal still fits into the included case. So that's great for transportation. So yeah, that's another advantage this gimbal has, the transportability. It's easy to carry around in your hand like a suitcase, and you can also lock all the axes, which is a very nice feature to have. The camera is not wobbling around, it stays safely locked in place. And another thing I really like is that the plate fits on the Manfrotto tripod, which is super convenient and it speeds up your workflow on set. You can go from gimbal to tripod filming in a matter of seconds, and from gimbal to handheld shooting also in a matter of seconds. So thumbs up for that. And all of that comes for a very affordable price compared to other cinema camera stabilization solutions. The build quality is also good, buttons are well placed, of course time will show. The only thing I miss is that buttons on the handle don't work with the adjusting exposure with the C200, but they work with no problem with the Canon R. And here's a screenshot of the official compatibility list. Okay, so conclusion. Do I recommend you buy this gimbal? If I wrote in the description below that the update fixed the vibrations, then 100% yes, because when it worked, this gimbal was a joy to use. Seriously, it's easy to operate, the handle is convenient, and for my needs it was perfect. But it pains me to say that if the update doesn't solve the vibration problem, I will be forced to return it. So there you have it, this was my first impression review. I'll make another one after hopefully using it for a couple of months. This product has a lot of potential, so make sure to read in the description below about the firmware update solution. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, leave a comment, it helps a lot with growing the channel. And yeah, I will see you in the next video.